Shalom, family. Once again, we're back with the word from Yahuwah. In this particular reading, we will come to the understanding that we deal with two different types of characteristics in our life. Either you're Peter or you're Judas. Which one are you? We're going to go through the different things that happened with Peter and the different things that happened with Judas. We will find out that as we go through these different texts that we will learn the teaching, the testing, the shaking, the making, the breaking, and the understanding. One will complete all, but the other one will only complete a few. Let's find out and see who that will be. First off, we will start off by talking about Peter, whose name was Simon. When he first met Yeshua, not only did Yeshua tell him who his father was, but he also changed his name to Cephas, which is Aramaic, meaning a stone. But most people knew him as Peter, which is Greek, meaning rock. Whenever Yahuwah changed your name, this means you have a strong calling on your life for the building of the kingdom. It also means that old things are passed away, and behold, all things have become new. This is a sign of Yahuwah making you over. Some other people who played an important role in Yahuwah's plan and their names were changed were Abram, whose name meant exalted father, to Abraham, whose name then became father of many nations, Sarai, whose name meant my princess, to Sarah, whose name then became mother of nations, Jacob, whose name at that particular time meant the grabber of the heel, or supplanter, or even worse than that, trickster, to Israel, whose name at that particular time meant he struggles with Yahuwah. A name often says something about that person's character or their situation. Remember, Sarah named her son Isaac because it means laughter. Sarah was 90 years old when she conceived Isaac. So you can understand why it will bring laughter into her life, knowing that she was past the age of conceiving and knowing that she no longer had a cycle anymore. Let's talk about a time when Peter was tested. Peter and his friends had been fishing most of the day and was calling it quits. While they were washing their nets, Yeshua boarded Simon's ship and walked up on him and asked Simon to thrust out a little so that he could talk to the people. All right, let's think about this for a moment. You don't been out all day fishing, and all of a sudden you coming in, getting ready to wash your net, and somebody just show up on the boat. Not only did they show up on your boat unannounced, but they also asked you to kind of push out for a little bit so I can talk to the people. And Yeshua sat down on the boat at that particular time and began to have a full-fledged conversation ministering to the people. You would think that Peter at that time would look at him like, man, what are you doing? I'm tired. I'm ready to go home. It's late. You can talk to them from down there. But Peter didn't do that. Peter actually did what he was told and waited. A time of teaching. Once he was done speaking to the people, he told Simon to go out into the deep and let down his net for the draft. Simon began to inform Yeshua about how they had already been out, but had caught nothing. But if you say so, I'll let down the net. Once they did that, they pulled up the net and it broke. Now, once again, thinking about us, how we would have possibly handled that situation. Like I said, they had been out there majority of the day. It was they was calling it quits. They was coming in, heading in to get ready to go home. Yeshua sends them back out. Now, Peter did give somewhat of a rebuttal of informing him, we already done been out there and we ain't catch nothing. But then he kind of thought about it and he was like, but if you say so, I'll do it anyways. Yeshua was showing him that obedience is better than sacrifice. His obedience provided him with more than enough. The word says that he will open up the windows of heaven and pour out you a blessing that you don't have room enough to receive. It was so much that Peter had to call over his partners, which were in the other ship, to come and help. The fish filled both ships so much that they began to sink. This is how a blessing happens when the windows of heaven have been opened up. It was so much that anybody who's attached to you, anybody who is next to you, will also receive that blessing. And it'll be even more for that person. It's going to overflow within their life. And that's what was going on with Peter. Not only did they get blessed from it, but the friends that they were associated with got blessed too. So much that it was about to sink their boats, both of their boats. Let's talk about a time of shaking. When Peter saw the abundance of fish, he fell down at Yeshua's knees, saying, "Depart from me, for I am a sinful man." Peter understood the power that was within Yeshua. He saw who was before him and knew there is no way that I can be around you. I'm not even supposed to be in your presence with the power that's coming up off you. Listen, leave. I can't be around you. He's not the only person who experienced that. Moses went through the same thing. He felt like, why did you choose me? Why choose me out of all the people that you could have chose? I'm a sinner. I just ran from Egypt. And you finna send me back there? Not only that, I can't even speak that well. And you want me to go tell Pharaoh to let your people go? That's impossible. But God makes the impossible possible. Now we're going to talk about a time of shaking. On the ship, Peter and the disciples were experiencing a rough ride from the wind and the waves. It's night, and they saw a figure walking across the water. They thought that it was a spirit and cried out for fear. Jesus identified himself and told them to be not afraid. Now, think about you being out on a ship. You out with your friends, you rowing. We'll even put it as the night was pretty much eerie, like it was smoke coming up from the water or whatever. And you see this figure coming across the water. The first thing you think about, you're going to look at your neighbor, at your friend and say, man, you see that out there? That look like a spirit. Your friend said, no, man, that look like a ghost. And then you cry. You start trying to row faster until you hear a voice come from out of the water and say, don't be afraid, it is I. Trust and believe. I probably would have handled it the same way that they was handling it if I saw something just coming across the water. I wouldn't have thought that it was an actual person. Peter asked if he could come unto thee on the water. Peter began to walk on the water to go to Yeshua. When he saw the wind, he was afraid and began to sink. He cried, Lord, save me. He understood where his help came from. Now Peter, he had the boldness. The only one had the boldness to want to step out on faith. He saw what Yeshua was doing and he wanted to do it too. So he asked first. Ask and you shall receive. And that's what he did. He received. And he was able to step out on faith. But he allowed the situation going on around him to distract him. Notice that the words say that he saw the wind. You can't see wind. Not unless wind is moving some type of object. That's when you notice the wind. It could have been moving the waves that were behind Yeshua. It could have been bending the trees hard enough for the trees to look like they were about to break. But he no longer had his eyes on Yahuwah anymore. And then it said that he began to sink. Now think about that too. If a person is on water and pretty much come to themselves with the weight of a body, it should have been a quick down. But it says he began to sink as though he was sinking like he was in quicksand. Like the more that his faith was diminishing, the more he started to go underwater. Once he realized that he was going underwater, he cried out for help. You ever been or seen a movie where there was a boat and the boat had like a little small hole in it? Now with that small hole in it, they don't sink fast, they sink slowly. You know, and people try to scoop the water out to make sure that, you know, they don't sink too fast or that the water don't overtake them. This is how Peter was sinking at this particular moment. He was sinking slowly. The more his faith diminished, the more he sunk. Once he realized what was actually going on, like, wait a minute, I'm going down, that's when he cried out. Let's get into the making part. The word says immediately, not after a few minutes, not after a few hours, not after a few days, but immediately, Yeshua stretched forth his hand and called him. This is another incident to build his faith and release his doubt. They saw Yeshua do a lot of things. And each time that Yeshua did these different things, it built their faith. But notice how each time their faith was built, it needed to be rebuilt over and over again. We are that same way. When we run into different obstacles, different situations, our faith has diminished. Like Elohim ain't never brought us through anything before. But he has brought us through over and over again. It's just because the situation is different, we feel like this situation can't be overcome. It's impossible. But it wasn't. The understanding kicked in when the wind ceased. After Yeshua made it to the boat, there was no more wind. The wind started before Yeshua even started to cross the water. It says that. But after he made it in, there was a peace, a stillness that fell over the water. They worshiped him, saying of a truth, you are the Son of God. Here it is, a moment where all the disciples understood who Yeshua was. That they called him out of exactly who he was. Let's go to the making. Peter was one of the ones Yeshua chose to go with him to the house of the ruler of the synagogues after they had told him that his daughter was dead. This too was another incident to build his faith. Peter heard the men say that his daughter was dead. He heard the laughter of the people when Yeshua first came into the house and said, the damsel is just resting. He saw Yeshua send everyone except the few that came with him and saw the girl arise. We are shown time and time again on the miracles that Elohim allows us to see, which is to build our faith. But how long does your faith actually stay built? If the word says that if only we would have faith the size of a mustard seed, that we will be able to move mountains, this means that either we don't have faith at all, or our faith diminishes every time we are shown something great. When you are walking with Elohim, there are times when he will allow you to experience things that no one else has ever experienced before. Because he is trying to show you what you are capable of. Yahuwah knows that seeing is believing. The same thing happened to the sons of Sceva. They heard the words of Paul, saw him cast out evil spirits, and believed that they could do the same thing. The only difference was they skipped parts of the steps. They were just ready to jump right to the casting out of evil spirits. And when they tried it, that allowed for the spirits instead to leap off of that person and onto them and inside of them. And by the time they got them up out of that house, they were naked and wounded. You can't attempt to go in and try something you ain't even prepared. That ain't how that works. those evil spirits spoke back to those sons of Sceva. And they said, excuse me, Jesus I know. Paul I know. But who are you? When you are chosen by Yahuwah, then automatically the evil spirits know exactly who you are. They know that you are coming in Yeshua's name. So they know that they're supposed to flee. At that name, demons tremble. But when you come in a weak state, you ain't went through the teaching and the training in order to get you prepared for that. Oh, they'll eat you up and spit out the bones like it was nothing. A time of testing. Yeshua asked the disciples, who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? And they responded with, some say you are John the Baptist, some Elijah, and others Jeremiah, or at least one of the prophets. But Yeshua said, but whom say ye that I am? Peter spoke quickly. Peter was basically known as the spokesperson of the disciples. So he was on it, like he was in school as a little kid. Ooh, me, I know. He spoke quickly and he said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living Elohim. Peter connected the dots, remembering earlier, Yeshua stated that he was the Son of Man. But Peter saw right through that and told him who he really was. See, Peter cleared away the smoke and was able to notice, wait a minute, I don't see you do too much. That now I recognize you and you don't act like a mere man, not like a man actually act. You doing things that I've never seen a man do before. Changing situations that I've never seen change before. So yeah, they can call you all these other people. You can even call yourself the Son of Man in disguise. But I can really see who you really are. Understanding. Peter's answer made Yeshua's heart rejoice so much that he blessed him and called him Simon Bar-Jonah. Bar meaning son, and Jonah because Jonah was his father's name. So son of Bar-Jonah is when you put it together. Son of Jonah when you put it together. A time of teaching. Jesus informed him that flesh and blood did not reveal this unto you. Only my heavenly Father could have revealed this unto you. Once again, Jesus changed his name, this time to Peter. The first time he called him Cephas. Majority of the other times he called him Simon because he wasn't really ready yet. But now at this particular point, because he was connected and his eyes were open at this moment, he called him Peter. Peter is how we pronounce it in English. But Jesus gave him a Greek name, which is pronounced Petros, which means rock. Stones are used metaphorically to denote hardness and insensibility, meaning he wasn't moved emotionally. Peter acknowledged the identity of Yeshua, HaMashiach. Therefore, he became the rock upon which the church will be built because he identified the truth of the rock, which was Yeshua. In Psalms 62:6, it says, he only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be moved. This is why Yeshua said that the gates of hell shall not prevail against it, because it was built on him. He is the strong foundation. He would use Peter to be that mobile person to get it out, to help build the church. Peter, the representative, which means rock, stood on the rock, which is who Yahuwah is. He is our strong foundation, and he shall not be moved. Wherefore, the gates of hell shall not prevail. Okay, now that we have that, think about this. You are the church, because the church is not a building, but the people inside the building make up the church. Now let's look at this spiritually. In Matthew 16 and 18, and I say also unto you, that thou art rock, and upon you I will build my people, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. His people. The keys that Yeshua gave him represented authority. When he gave Peter the keys, they were the authority that he was giving him to be able to build the church. A time of teaching. When Jesus informed his disciples of how he must suffer, die, and rise again on the third day, Peter rebuked him, saying, "Be it far from you, Lord. This shall not be unto you." Peter didn't understand what needed to be done in order for everyone else to be saved. He alone, with the other disciples, thought that he came to destroy the enemy at that moment in time and to establish his kingdom here on earth. But it wasn't his time yet. Yeshua was here to fulfill scripture. That's what he came for. It wasn't time for the kingdom to be established yet, but just for the building of church after he left. Yeshua turned and said unto Peter, "Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me. For thou savorest not the things that be of Elohim, but those that be of men." Here was Satan showing up again to annoy Yeshua. But this time, he was using one of his disciples to do so. Yeshua knew that Satan could care less about the things of Elohim, but that his thoughts were only of the things that pertain unto men, which are all the sinful acts that lead to the pleasures in this life. Satan's goal was for Yeshua to get comfortable in where he was and not to complete the task that he was sent to do. And Yeshua saw right through it. That's Satan's goal for everybody. His thing is to keep you off course. Whatever he has to do, whatever he has to give you, whatever he has to show you that pulls your attention away from kingdom building to now of other aspects that has nothing about the kingdom, has nothing about saving souls, has nothing about getting you back to paradise of where we all try to get to, but it's more on a distraction area to keep you focused on selfish things and to keep you focused on just anything about yourself. It no longer becomes about saving those or helping those to be saved or helping those reach others to be saved. It becomes about what I can get while I'm down here because I only got one life to live. I might as well get it in while I can, fulfill my happiness while I can, so that I can get pleasure while I'm down here. It's not about that. That's where we falter. That's where we lose. And once you give him all that, you're giving him the victory. Once he know he got you off course, he's no longer focused on you like that. He goes to the next person that's really building on the kingdom to try to tear them down, to try to get them off track, to try to make sure that they feel diminished by using others as a vessel. And he don't care who he used. Just like God is no respecter person, the enemy don't care about who he used that's close to you. He's reaching anything that he feels like can knock you off your feet. That's what he goes through. It's been his tactic since the beginning of time. He wants to kill your vision, which Elohim has shown you. Steal your joy, because without joy, you tend to lose your press towards the mark. And if he can destroy you from inside, meaning mentally, physically, and spiritually, you will never complete that which Elohim has given unto you. He always attacks in those three different ways. He hits you mentally through your mind, physically through your body, spiritually through a realm that you can't even fathom or reach or connect to without Elohim. So once he hit you from that realm, if you have no connection, you can't even be in the midst of the battle. You are really defeated. You have a war without your weapons. And if you're not believing in Elohim anymore, or you believing in other entities, or even in yourself, where your connection going to? Oh, he really got you faltering then. Yeshua told his disciples that if any man will come after him, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. Self-denial. Very hard for a person to do. People say that they deny themselves, that they really caring about others, that they looking out for others. But no, when we get to the end of that picture, it still is focused on self. They're not denying themselves. They're saying it, but their main agenda, their main purpose is all for themselves in the long run. That's going against what Yeshua said. It's hard for people to do. It's hard for people to deny themselves. They might do it for a small period of time, but eventually it's going to kick in. Oh, wait a minute, I don't did this for this person. I don't did that for that person. What about me? It becomes a what about me state. What about you if you're helping out the next person to win souls? It ain't even supposed to be about you if your life is not based and surrounded on the things of this world. When you're putting all your cares into the things of this world, then yeah, I can understand why you're making it about you. Because you feel like, once you're done with this, you're ready for judgment. Once you're done with this, you can handle the lake of fire because of your choices. So, if you want to think like that, go ahead and think like that. Within yourself, you refuse to admit the truth about what's going on around you. That's why you must first deny yourself. You want riches, popularity, and family. That's what majority of people push for. And if not all three, you would settle with just having the greater of one of them. The cross represents the cares of this world. You are not supposed to idolize it or want to be a part of it. But instead, you are supposed to take up your cross and follow HaMashiach. Because he is the only one who can lead you to salvation. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. And whosoever will lose his life for my sake shall find it. If you ain't willing to lose your life, you ain't gonna find it. If you're trying to save your life because you're trying to be surrounded by the cares of this world, then you failed already. You're going to perish right along with that stuff you're trying to hold on to. Everything that connects us to this life, we are always trying to save. That includes ourselves. And if you save it, you will lose it. But if you lose it for HaMashiach's sake, you will find it. There is no true reward in gaining this world and yet losing your soul. Or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? All these people looking to be popular. All these people looking to be famous. All these people looking to be rich. What is it that you've given up just to get to that level? What is it that you're willing to give up just to make it to that level? Is it really worth it in the long run? Because riches can only make you happy for so long. There are some rich people out there that are miserable. But that's the level you're trying to make it to, all because of the way that they portray themselves to be on the outward appearance to you. You think they living the best life? You need to go talk to these people and find out what's really going on behind the scenes that they're not showing you. And if you pay attention, some of them have revealed the stuff that's going on. That it ain't everything that you think it is. What they had to give up, what they had to go through, what they had to sacrifice. It's a lot. The Bible says obedience is better than sacrifice. You ain't even being obedient no more because you rather sacrifice a few things just for a moment of pleasure. Because it ain't everlasting pleasure. It's moments. That's it. Then it's chaos. Then it's right back to moments of pleasure. If that's the revolving door that you want to go in, if that's the cycle that you want to be a part of, if that's the merry-go-round that you want to keep hopping on, or the train that you want to keep going on for a bumpy ride, go for it. But know your end result ain't what you think it is. Ain't what you built it up to be. It sounds pretty. Because trust me, a lot of those singles talking about what they going to be doing in hell. Oh, they going to be partying in hell. Oh, trust and believe. That ain't what's going to be going on. But they can think it. They can make it sound pretty. They can dress it up. Just like they do all these pagan holidays. They dress them up to make them sound pretty. But it's really not what it is. You have to research and dig into where this stuff originated from. We only do it because we're trying to conform to the situation that's going on around us. But what happened that you are not? You're in the world, but you're not of the world. We in the world, but we keep trying to be a part of the world. It's contradictory. You're not supposed to do those things.